Going through a divorce is, well, it's incredibly tough. And one of the biggest, most stressful parts is figuring out what on earth to do with the family home. It's not just a building, right? It's filled with memories. So, how do you fairly divide something that means so much? That's exactly what we're going to break down today. So, here's our game plan. First, we're going to nail down what a divorce appraisal actually is. Then, we'll walk through how the whole process works, what you do with that final number, and importantly, what your options are if you disagree. We'll wrap it all up with some practical takeaways you can actually use. All right, let's get right into it. This first part is so important because understanding what a divorce appraisal is and what it isn't is really the foundation for everything else that's going to happen. This is the million-dollar question, and sometimes that's not even an exaggeration. It's not about what you feel it's worth or what some website's algorithm spits out. You need a solid, credible, and defensible number that both sides can work from. And that's where the divorce appraisal comes in. Think of it as getting an unbiased professional referee to call the game. The key words here are independent and third party. This isn't just a casual estimate. It's a formal valuation prepared specifically for the legal process of a divorce. So why is this piece of paper so critical? Well, it does a lot of heavy lifting. If one of you wants to keep the house, this appraisal sets the buyout price. If you're planning to sell, it helps you set a realistic asking price. It's also absolutely essential for dividing up the entire pot of marital assets fairly, and if things get contentious, it becomes official evidence in court. Okay, so let's pull back the curtain and look at how this all actually gets done. The whole appraisal process might seem a little mysterious from the outside, but it's actually very methodical and straightforward. It really boils down to three main stages. First, the appraiser comes out for an on-site inspection. They're looking at everything: the condition of the house, any special features, the upgrades you've made. Second, they do a deep dive into a market analysis. This means they're finding similar homes in your area that have sold recently, we call those comps, to see what the market is actually paying. Finally, they put all of that research into a formal written report. That's the document that you'll use in your negotiations or, if need be, in court. Now, here's a super important detail. Timing is everything. You've got two main types of valuations. A standard appraisal tells you what the house is worth right now, today. But sometimes you need what's called a retrospective appraisal. This values the property on a specific date in the past, like the day you officially separated. This is absolutely crucial if the housing market has gone way up or down since then, because it makes sure the value is locked to the correct legal date. So, the report is in. You have that final number. What happens now? This is where the rubber meets the road, where that number gets turned into an actual plan. It's really helpful to remember that the house is just one piece of a much bigger financial pie. The home equity, which the appraisal just defined for you, has to be balanced against everything else: retirement accounts, maybe a business, other investments. The appraisal gives you a solid value for what is often the biggest slice of that pie. So once you have that value, things usually go one of three ways. Option one spouse keeps the home and buys out the other's share. Option two, you sell the house and split the profits. Or option three, you get creative and use the home's value as a trade. For instance, one person might keep the house, while the other person keeps the retirement accounts or a business that's worth a similar amount. But let's be real. Agreeing isn't always easy. If you and your spouse are just at a total stalemate over the home's value, the decision might have to go to a judge. A court can look at both of your appraisals or even bring in its own expert to make the final call. And that brings us to a really common and honestly very stressful situation. What do you do when that appraisal report shows up, you look at the number, and you just think, no way? It's a totally valid feeling. Maybe you think it's way too high, or maybe you're convinced it's too low. The good news is, you're not stuck. That first appraisal number isn't automatically the final word. You do have options. So here are your main paths forward if you're in a dispute. A really common first step is for the other person to get their own second appraisal. From there, you could try to average the two values, or you could use a mediator to help you negotiate a number that you can both live with. And of course, the last resort is to take both reports to a judge and let them sort it out. And I really want to drive this point home because it's so often overlooked. Sometimes the fight isn't even about the final price. It's about when the house was valued. A home's worth in a crazy market today could be totally different from what it was 6 months ago. Making sure you have the right date is just as critical as getting the right price. All right, let's bring all this home with some clear, practical advice. This is your action plan to help you get through the appraisal process as smoothly as possible. To get the most accurate valuation, you've got to be prepared. Gather up any documents you have for big renovations, permits, receipts, anything. Also, be upfront about any repairs that are needed. And this is a big one. Make sure everyone, you, your lawyers, the appraiser, is crystal clear on the correct valuation date and what this report is going to be used for. Oh, and you'll want to confirm how the cost of the appraisal is getting split. It's usually 50-50. And we'll end with this last thought. The appraisal is designed to give you a number. It's a crucial data point you need to move forward. But at the end of the day, fairness is about so much more than just one number. As you go through this, it's worth taking a moment to think about what a truly fair outcome really looks like for you and for your future.